So then we have the initial onsite. That's 12 hours of learning, fire hose of information, all things great game, where we do some financial literacy training. We do an overview. What is the great game? We delve into the why a little bit. We do mini game training. We do a mini game workshop where hopefully we'll build a mini game on site there that the design team can play over the next 3 months while we're doing the implementation and see some results and learn all about mini games. Then we do what we call a path to critical number exercise, where we really turn over every rock in the company and see what's underneath. That's a pretty powerful exercise. It teaches me a lot about their business, teaches them a lot about their business. You know, they've never seen the books before, so this is kind of the start of that. You know, so many times in that path to critical number exercise, I'll ask at some point, all right, outside of the ownership, everybody else, tell me, or write down on a slip of paper, what's the most profitable item you sell or service that you sell? And you'd be amazed at the number of different answers. And then after they're done, I'll ask the owner, all right, what is it? And it's one of them, but here's a lot of times a lot of leaders. But here's 6, 8, 10 people in the room, and there's 6 different answers. They don't even know what the most profitable item they sell is. That's not a way to run business to me. And then I'll ask them, what's your least most profitable? Then they'll say, well, why don't we stop doing that? Well, that's your highest in sales volume. Sure, it's least profitable, but that's what keeps the light on. And we talk about profit generators and overhead absorbers and all sorts of fun stuff in there and really learn about their business and the market. Anyway, so that's the on-site. I think I covered everything with that. Then we set about 12 weeks of 1 hour a week of video calls where we build their game. We build their scoreboard. We design their huddles. We learn about forecasting because that's the secret sauce of a great game is the constant look ahead, looking forward at things we can really impact change on instead of being a historian looking at last month. And I like to start practice huddling by week 3 or 4. So we'll do a practice huddle using actual numbers and actual forecasts on the design team level only so we can learn where do the numbers come from? What do I use to get the numbers? What do I use to get my forecast? We go through a cycle of that for 6 or 8 weeks. Then we get actuals back from something we forecast and see how bad we did. And then we can dig into why. What did we think about? What came in last minute in revenue? What was this cost spike or drop? You know, we begin to learn so much more about the business during that practice time, right? There's no failures, only opportunities to learn. Okay. And also during that time, we're rounding out the rest of the game. So we start every huddle with review of the mini game. How's it doing? We do a practice huddle, then we go into more learnings and teaching around the great game. Behind the scenes, I'm working with ownership or CFO on the gainshare bonus that I want reviewed with you yesterday.
Yeah.
That'll take about 3 meetings to get that right. I like to roll that out to the design team 2 weeks before launch.
Okay.
Why? We hit them with it and get their knee-jerk reactions because we'll have the same knee-jerk reactions at the launch, and we address their questions as they come up. Then they get a week to think about it and come back with anything else they thought of. Okay, because to me, it's critical that they understand the gainshare and how it works and why it was developed, how it was developed, and kind of take ownership of it. Because after launch, who's going to go ask the owner about the gainshare? But are they going to ask the design team members? You betcha. So it's critical that they understand it. Then we have the all-team launch. We get everybody, as many people in the company together. Sure, it's expensive. Sure, it stinks to shut down for 6-7 hours in a day. But it's an investment that's going to pay dividends within that first year times 5 at least. Okay. Get them all together. We start out with sharing the why, the owner and 2 or 3, 4 design team members. Okay. I share my why at the beginning, then 2 or 3, 4 design team members, then the owner. Why are we doing this? Why the change? We've got to firmly and clearly express that why and paint the vision for the future. Then I jump into an overview. What is the great game? Then a mini game overview. What are these mini games all about? And I transfer ownership of the mini games to the people. I tell them if you had a suggestion box, mini games are your new suggestion box. All right. Then we do open the books and share the numbers and show a little bit of history as compared to industry averages. So people understand as we're opening the books, exactly where are we at? Where have we been at? And that sets the stage for the gainshare bonus because if we unroll the bonus first without showing any prior history, how would they know if it's attainable? Okay. So in that open the books segment, I typically stop before I show the open the books and say, based on every dollar in revenue last year, how many cents of it was profit in this company? I'll have the crowd call out answers, and I hear 30 cents, 40 cents, 20 cents, 12 cents. And when I show it was actually 5 cents, people's mouths drop. Really? And then I explain how hard it is to make money. And I explain that public opinion is 36 cents. The average of 212 industries in the United States is 6.5 cents. And Walmart's happier than pigs and you know what at 3.1 cents. Okay. And they're like, Walmart, yeah, they report hundreds of billions of dollars in sales and revenue and profit, but they don't never say what the percentage is.
Right. Sure.
Most companies on Wall Street you'd invest in blue chip stocks are single digit profit. That's the reality. And out of that single digit profit, 30 cents or more goes to pay the government taxes.
Yeah, I would say not many people know that.
That's right. It's a huge misconception. So a lot of people who don't want to open their books are afraid their employees will know what they make. And I say, you should be proud to show them how little you make.
You should want them to know.
Exactly. You know, as a business owner, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I digress.
So I have a couple questions.
Wait, after you open the books, Nick.
Yeah.
Then the second to last segment is unveiling the gain share and explaining it to everybody, how the gain share, what's in it for me? Because all day they've been sitting there paying attention. What's in it for me? What's in it for me is the question in the back of their heads. That's normal, it's natural, and it's fine. All right. After the gain share is unveiled, then I like to put in how can I impact my gain share? And I try to draw line of sight for each job position in the company, whether it's sales, whether it's the people who do the work, cost of goods, whether it's the people in the office with the overhead and admin expenses, how each one can impact the gain share in a positive or negative light.
And you just give examples of how they could.
So for us, for every $10 delivery fee we have to give back at a 5% net profit target, that means we've got to do $200 in business just to break even on that. Examples like that, Nick.
Gotcha. So my questions from that process were, I didn't know this at first, but you have a different coach come in for the financial literacy piece?
I bring in a trainer. The Great Game's got a staff of three executive professional trainers, and they're so good at it. They've gone over it over and over and over again. Two, it gives a different face to people instead of me for a day and a half or whatnot. It gives a different face. All right. I work together with the trainer, so it's not like I disappear, but it's more robust when it's done by a trainer in person.
Excellent. So that is they pay for that on top of the coaching, or you try to build it all into one package deal, or what?
It's included.
Gotcha. Okay. The other question was, when you're doing the critical number exercise, when you're forecasting and you're going back on the actuals, the final, and looking at how you did, you do that every month, or you want them to do that every month?
Absolutely. That's the best way.
Got it.
All right. Let's talk about forecasting just a minute, if it's okay. A forecast, I hate to use the word prediction, but that describes it. It's a prediction. Where do you think you're going to be? But prediction sometimes conjures up images of Ouija boards and crystal balls. No. We're using data. What did we do the last 2 Januaries? Okay. What did we have in revenue before we started the month? What did we add during the month? And where did we end up? What's the percentages? Okay. We look at recent market conditions, the last 3-4 months. Have we been trending ahead or behind budget? What's been going on? We look at actual data. What's already in this month? What do we know about? And on top of that, we stir in our swag, our silly, wild-ass guess, and say, use our gut, right? I think it's going to be this month. So it's not like we're just guessing. It's not like we're just throwing a number out there. We're using actual data from historical data and recent market conditions, what we already know about, and then we throw on top of that, all right, I think we're going to end up here. And the first 6 months, I tell clients, don't worry about being hugely accurate. It's okay to forecasting, POOR, for the first 6 months, because that's where the learning comes from, right? If this forecasting was so easy, everybody might do it. We got to learn from our mistakes. It took our company, our special event sales team, 3 years to start getting within on a regular basis 15% in their week 1 forecast to where we ended, 20%. But by working different models, by having 3 years of experience, we ended up combining 3 models together, and voila, the average of those was within plus or minus 10% on a regular, consistent basis, usually 5%. Because how do you know on January 3rd who's going to book a $60,000 event for January 20th? We don't know, but
Right.
trends, right?
Yeah. So at the beginning, there's a lot more assumptions, like week 1, week 2, and then it's, gets more accurate as the data comes in, right?
You got it.
Yeah. So the last question I have is about the annual plan. So when do you have them create the first annual plan? Is that after they start with these practice huddles?
We've got to have a plan or budget somehow, some way in order to do our forecasting, because we need a plan. We need a benchmark. That's our target. That's what we're going for.
Mhm.
The other part about it is this planning becomes much better as well. Instead of owners and CFOs sitting down in November or December and saying, well, what do you think we're going to do next year?
Mhm.
Oh, I think we could do this, or it becomes much more scientific. So your plan or budget gets a lot better too.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right, Kevin. Obviously, people support what they help create. That's what I always like to end these videos with. But do you have any final words for anybody watching this?
I'm going to steal some from Henry Ford. If you're thinking about this great game of business, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. So
That's
if
awesome.
you go into it with it's not going to work, because instead of how can we adapt this to our whatever, it's not going to work. It's going to be frustrating. If you go in there with that right attitude, all right, how can we make this work for our business? It'll work all day long.
I love it. There's so many examples from so many different industries. So how can that not be true, right?
Yep.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much for your time. Really generous. Thank you so much. And I'll be seeing you in Indianapolis, I think.
Yes, sir, Mr.
On
Nick.
Monday.
Looking forward to it.
All right, same here. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.